Hello, folks. We're celebrating the martyrdom of Saint Cecilia, virgin martyr. She was as the patron saint of music. I have a deep love for Saint Cecilia. I was next to a parish, Saint Cecilia's in the area, so I was familiar with that parish. Also, I'm a musician myself, so I run to Saint Cecilia often, especially when I can't get some of my songwriting right or the singing. She's one of my favorite saints. She lived in Rome around the 2nd, 3rd century under, they believe, Emperor Marcus Aurelius. And so if you remember that movie Gladiator, that was a couple hundred years after Jesus that took place. And the general at the beginning of that movie was Marcus Aurelius. So take yourself to that day and age, that time, and they persecuted Christians often in the Colosseum and so forth. So there was a lot of Christian martyrdom going on during this time. Cecilia was one of those very famous martyrs. According to tradition, Cecilia was born into a wealthy Roman family and was a devout Christian from her childhood. She had consecrated herself and her virginity to God. That was a common practice in the 2nd, 3rd century for young maidens. We have Anastasia, Felicity, Perpetua, and Philomena. There are several other virgin martyrs. I think there's over a dozen plus. There's probably more. But her parents were pagan, and they arranged her to have a marriage to a young pagan nobleman named Valerian. And on their wedding day, legend has it, as the musicians played, Cecilia is said to have sung silently in her heart to God, praying to remain pure in it, because she didn't want to marry. And on their wedding night, Cecilia revealed her secret, that she consecrated herself to God and her virginity to God, and she said all this to Valerian. And that she tricked him a little bit, saying, she's protected by her angel. Valerian asked to see her angel, but said he would respect her vow of virginity. And he was moved by her faith, and that led to his conversion. Matter of fact, it led to his brother's conversion as well. And so Valerian agreed and asked to see the angel. Cecilia told him he would see the angel if he was baptized. So then she tricked him into being baptized. So some of this is legend. I don't know how much of it's true, but it's part of a lot of stories in a lot of the saints' books for hundreds of years. So it's carried on that long. Along with Valerian's brother Tiburtius, both brothers apparently saw the angel, and that led to their conversion to Christianity. What led to their martyrdom, sadly, Valerian and his brother, they both devoted themselves to charitable works, and particularly burying the Christians that were being persecuted. So it was decades and centuries of this kind of atmosphere of Christians are persecuted. So there was a lot of burials and a lot of the executions and the martyrdoms, and then their bodies would be recovered and then put in the catacombs. And still to this day, you can go to Rome and visit the underground catacombs. And so that's what Valerian and his brother did. They were eventually arrested, which was apparently a dangerous job during the persecutions. They were caught, and they were executed for their faith. Cecilia eventually somehow became mixed up in that, and she got arrested as well. And so her husband died, Valerian, and then suddenly, according to legend, there was a Roman prefect, like a mayor of sorts. He wasn't a governor, but he was a person of authority, ordered her to be suffocated in the bathroom of her own house. So I'm not sure. She did come from wealth, and bathhouses were actually quite, the rich had them in Rome. But she survived that. Apparently, he was trying to overheat it. He then sent an executioner to burn her, and that didn't work. And then she was beheaded, but only after like 3 blows to the neck. Um, I guess that was the legal maximum, and she lived for a couple days afterwards. And if you see her statue sometimes, there's a Saint Cecilia's um, in a diocese nearby, and there's 3 cuts. There's 3 slices on her neck, and it was half sliced. And so the statue is showing her martyrdom, and she lived for 3 days with half her head cut. Well, Agnes was pretty terrible, and Lucy's was terrible too. Her eyes were cut out. I think Agnes's breasts were cut out and put on a platter. So they were very morbid. These persecutions and martyrdoms were just brutal. It was sadistic. Apparently, legend has it that she continued to live, and she talked and preached, apparently, and distributed all of her possessions to the poor because she knew she was dying. Her connection to music comes from another legend that stated that during her wedding, while the musical instruments were playing, Cecilia sang in her heart to the Lord this detail, emphasizing her inner her promise and vow of virginity. She really was made famous during the Renaissance period, and that only led to her fame and her name really grow, especially during the Renaissance, 1500s. So later on, in around 15th, 16th century, 1580s, the Academy of Music in Rome formally adopted her as their patron. So 1,200 years of her sainthood and martyrdom, well known, led to everyone praying for her intercession. Her tomb is in the Catacombs of Callixtus in Rome, and it became an important pilgrimage site. In 821, her relics were transferred to the Church of Santa Cecilia in Trastevere, where they are today. So if you want to see St. Cecilia's, you can go to Italy and then to Santa Cecilia in Trastevere. There's a famous sculpture again of her body as it was reported during they examined her, they drew her out, and apparently it was incorrupt and in the same position as when they left it, when she was on her side, and there's the 3 slits, and she lived 3 days like that. It's part of the legend. So there's other saints have similar stories and legends. Her feast day is November 22nd. Today, she remains one of the most popular saints for inspiring musicians, those who are composers, and those who are singers, and so forth. Historians debate the legends around her, but that's okay. You know, a lot of the saints, Saint Philomena is one of my favorite. She's got a lot of legends around her as well. And honestly, a lot of the virgin martyrs did, because there's a reason why their name lasted for centuries and centuries, because they were well loved, and there was a lot of miracles associated with these saints. So yeah, look up Saint Cecilia, and if you're a singer or a music person trying to learn piano, trying to learn guitar, sing, maybe you're getting ready for a musical, ask for Saint Cecilia's intercession, and she will help you. She's helped me for years. I love running to her and the Blessed Mother. I always feel more confident when I'm singing my songs. So God bless, and remember the Virgin Martyr, Saint Cecilia. I'll see you at Mass.